This is my very own 2060 Thorton Colby C125, and I enjoy it quite a bit. Half muscle car, half hatchback, 100% all American.
This is my regular car. It's not a sport car. It's a station wagon, and yeah, I do be bragging.
I've had this car for a year now, and I gotta say, I've grown quite fond of it. To be honest, I never even noticed this kind of car before until I was in the market for a new car in the first place. I knew I wanted a hatchback, and I knew I wanted something that only had 2 doors, and I wanted something sturdy and reliable, and yeah, nothing quite matched that criteria until I saw one of these while cruising on the highway, and now naturally I see them everywhere. For such an audacious design, they still retain a kind of mundanity that makes them blend into the background. Or, I don't know, maybe it's because I've been so autistically obsessed with small sport cars in general that I was blind to the common sedans and station wagons that were all around me this whole time. Funnily enough, it took me a bit of time to get used to a car like this. A car with automatic transmission and power steering and a working AC, all modern luxuries compared to what I had before. See, when I bought this car, it sadly wasn't on my own volition or on my own terms. For a decade, I drove the oldest, rattiest, cheapest sport car a guy like me could get his hands on, a banged up first generation 2040 Archer Quartz. Archer Quartz are great cars, but I tell you man, mine was so cursed. Everything that could break, broke. But since it was already paid off, I figured it was cheaper to fix it than go through the hassle of getting a loan out with my bad credit to get something more reliable. Plus, when it did work, it was a joy to drive. It had a 6-speed manual transmission, and the previous owner removed the power steering, which is a common modification for these types of cars. So while the car was a bit difficult to parallel park, it was the best handling and most tactile driving experience I've ever had. And while the car wasn't fast by sport car standards, it's always more fun to drive a slow car fast and a fast car slow, as they say, and man, did I make full use of its revometer every chance I could get. The highs are high and the lows are low. It was a loss aversion, cognitive bias in full effect. For years, I kept spending money on repairs, often back to back, and justified it because, well, I just spent a few thousand eddies on it. I can't just get rid of it now, but maybe later when my life has settled down. And then it got stolen. A few weeks later, it was recovered. The steering column was broken and the thieves thrashed my newly installed clutch, so I paid the towing fees to have it delivered to my specialty Archer Quartz mechanic out all the way on the edge of Rancho Coronado to fix her up again. A couple years later, it got stolen again. And this time, I didn't even bother calling the cops. I just stared at where it was parked, a cocktail of sorrow and relief washing over me. Exactly like a bad breakup where you know you should have left sooner but couldn't do it yourself due to your own insecurity and cowardice. So now I have this Colby, and yeah, my life is better because of it. Parking is, funnily enough, easier than my Quartz despite it being bigger because it has power steering, and oh my god, I cannot believe I went this long without a working AC in Night City's desert heat. The front-wheel drive is something that I fear I will never get completely used to, and while I do wish it had more power so I can merge on the highway easier, I appreciate that it discourages me from doing anything too reckless. With a sport car, you're expected to drive it like a sport car, and honestly, it's dumb luck I did not die in a fiery crash when I owned one. With this, I feel like a grandpa, just chillin', in my lane, flourishing, etc, etc. Made between 2045 and 2060 in Chicago, the Colby C125 is powered by a V6 engine and a 3-speed automatic transmission, weighing just over 3,000 pounds and pushing about 182 horsepower. There is a version of the station wagon that is all-wheel drive and uses the beefier V8 engine from the Colby CX410 as well, and while I was tempted to buy that version for myself, I figured having all-wheel drive in Night City would only add to repair costs, since it's not really needed given how flat the city is and the fact that it never snows here. I appreciate how spacious it is despite not being terribly large. Station wagons really are peak design. Me and my partner recently moved from Kabuki to the Glen, and though we of course rented a truck to move the furniture, I was able to move the majority of our stuff between a few handful of trips with this thing, something I can never do in a Quartz. And you know, I keep wanting to say that the design of this car is modest, but no, that's not quite it. It's too rectangular and burly for that description to fit, but maybe simple? Unadorned? There's an honesty here, a lack of glamour. Parts are remarkably cheap, and in the year I've owned it, I've had to do literally nothing aside from routine maintenance. Looking at online discussions, it seems to be pretty common as long as you're not thrashing about like a scav who stole the damn thing while transporting a few mangled bodies in the hopes of selling their chrome to a shady ripper doc. You know, I think I'm just getting older too, and with it, the urge to drive pedal to the metal has been diminished. It was one thing drifting in a dented sport car in my early 20s with all the self-preservation of a suicidal rocker boy eager to punch his own ticket with a white pick in my pocket at the age of 27, but now that I'm in my 30s, I don't know, that seems embarrassing. This car is younger than my previous car by 2 decades, but feels more mature, more calm, and though I begrudgingly acknowledge that I will always be moody and angsty forever, apparently, I try to be less obnoxious about it. And plus, I'm not the sole owner of this car. Not only do me and my partner now share a lease together, we also share this Colby, though admittedly it's mostly her credit that got us our low interest rates. Since she is a paralegal who works for a firm downtown, she only needs a car occasionally on the weekends to run errands or the odd trip out of the city. Meanwhile, I work a physically demanding job as a brunch cook in Charter Hill, and that is very much not a fun commute via public transit, so I'm often the one driving, and I acknowledge that we mostly have the car for me, since she likes taking the bus more than I do, so I try to take care of it. That said, for someone who hates driving, my partner also likes this car a lot, which to me is a ringing endorsement. I am very biased, but I do see this car nowadays either as a primary car for people like our parents who have driven the same car since the 50s and have kept them clean all those years, or for younger working class professionals who value a car's utility over its flashiness and social signifiers. I feel responsible driving this car. Every time I get in, my mustache gets fluffier, and I have the urge to tuck in my shirt and to yell at the kids who are blaring their music too loudly on the sidewalk. I get the urge to smoke a cigarette despite my asthma and drink my coffee hot and black instead of making my silly iced mocha drink that I do on the day-to-day. My cursed Archer quartz was a big part of my life, and I could not shut up about it. I was even in an online group literally called Clinically Depressed Archer Quartz Posting, and even attended a quartz meeting or two in real life. Most of us young, scrappy, alcohol-abusing diehards taking joy in what is an affordable sport car, an oxymoron if there ever was one. And you know what? Maybe in 10 years, I'll buy another, hopefully less cursed Archer quartz, and join them again. I'll be with less of a death wish. In the meantime, owning this Colby hatchback in my early 30s feels right. I'm building up my credit again. I get to share this car with my beautiful partner. It has enough seats for me to drive my friends around. It's quiet, modest, and reliable, allowing me to focus on my career and other hobbies. I thought transitioning to this kind of car would be boring, but no, it has instead allowed me to take in the scenery just a bit slower, allowed me to be present in my life in ways I could not because I was always waiting for things to break again. I feel more solid, more myself than I have felt in a while, and I'm happy that it turns out that I was strong enough to let go of the past and change to a more complete and less mentally ill version of me. Anyway, I'm the Rat Shepherd. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you around for the next one. Thanks.